The Soulsborne series has introduced a lot of areas throughout the years, many of which are great, but each game in the series has at least one or two areas that players generally hate making their way through. There are some great examples such as Lost Izalith in Dark Souls, the Frigid Outskirts in Dark Souls 2, or that place. But there's one area that for me personally has to be one of the worst of them all, and I never even hear people talk about it. So in this video, I'm very sorry to introduce you to or remind you of Demon Souls' Swamp of Sorrows, also known as 5-2, the original worst area in Soulsborne. So for those of you who have never played Demon Souls, there's something you need to understand before we can even get into why this area is so bad. You know how things like bonfires and sites of grace work in the later games, and they kind of function as checkpoints that you'll respawn at, or you can fast travel between once you've reached them? Yeah, well, Demon Souls doesn't have those. At all. Anytime you die, you need to start at the beginning of the area again. So now that we're all on the same page with that, let's start with the visuals. It's just dark. Like, I can't see anything kind of dark. Most of the time when you're working your way through the Swamp of Sorrows, you'll be using the lights that you can see off in the distance as your guide, and wandering through this waist-high water that just seems to never end. And let's talk about the water, because this was the original poison swamp in Soulsborne. So of course, spending more than a few seconds at a time in the water will poison you, causing your health to start slowly draining. Oh, and guess what? Demon Souls was before they even realized that there should be an on-screen indicator for status buildup, so you have absolutely no frame of reference for how close you are to being poisoned, or how long of a break you should take on each island to let the buildup subside. Beyond that, it also slows you down, meaning that when you enter it, not only will it try to keep you in there to ensure that you get poisoned, but it will also make fighting enemies that come after you while you're in the water that much more dangerous. The water also makes it so that you can't roll. Yeah, you heard me right. If you are in the water, at all, you cannot dodge enemy attacks. Worse than even just disabling your dodge though, your character will do this weird little stumbling animation that you get locked into when you try to roll, meaning that when you instinctually try to roll away from an enemy attack, which you will by the way, you will just get frozen in place and have to pray to Miyazaki that you can tank the damage. The remake actually added a ring that makes it so the water doesn't slow you down, but that's why we're talking about the original version, on top of the fact that the Demon Souls remake is just generally a much easier experience than the original. Oh, and for my Dark Souls fans out there, you know those poisonous mosquitoes that you hated in Blighttown? Yeah, well those guys are just reused enemies from the Swamp of Sorrows. If you don't kill every single one of these little bitches as soon as you see them, they will randomly come out of the dark while you're wading through the water and shoot poison onto you. And to just add insult to injury, when you finally get to the boss door at the end of the level, the boss just sucks. It's a big construct with a bunch of armor that shoots swarms of flies at you, which will chip away at your health over time. The only way that you can get the fly swarms off of you is by running into the fire around the arena. Thankfully, this is one of the easiest bosses ever in a FromSoftware game, because the only thing that would make this area worse would be needing to do it again after getting all the way to the boss. Now, all jokes aside, I personally love the tradition of the poison swamps in the Soulsborne series, just because they always feel like such a troll to the player, and I love when I get that feeling that FromSoft is just giving the players the middle finger and telling you to figure it out yourself. But as much as I love Blighttown and that one, the Swamp of Sorrows is just an area that I dread getting through on every single playthrough of Demon Souls, no matter what build I'm using. At least with the Lake of Rot, I can just completely avoid it because everything there is optional, but I just don't have that option here. And to emphasize that, I had to record the footage for this video in multiple sittings because I was just getting so frustrated I had to take a break. But what do you guys think? Do you hate the Swamp of Sorrows the same way that I do? Or do you maybe have some weird poison swamp type love for it? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, a comment, or a subscription, anything to let me and the algorithm know that you enjoyed. And also, if you liked this video, then you'll probably enjoy my last one, so I'll have it linked right here on screen.